Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Duel number 2. We are here ready to go for this, the second duel for tonight, determining the outside row for tomorrow's Daytona 500, the ANZCAR Daytona 500 Crown Duel event brought to you by Neuropower. We are looking forward to that. Let's quickly go through the order for the starting of this, the duel. Josh Micklemore up front. With Matty Ray on his outside. It's Paul Jackson and Russell Bratka on the second row. Third row is Joshua Carroll-Walden with Phil Otto. Matt Patton is on row number 4 with Scott LeBras. Then we have Matt Danson on row 5 with Luke Georgeson. And rounding us out is Gary Wellman on the 6th row. These cars getting ready for their qualifying race for tomorrow's one. Let's quickly jump over to Edward Foster for his little pick of this duel.
Well, first of all, I think Scott's got an F in his last name. I'm reading it as Lefebvre. It could be Lefebvre, but it's certainly not LeBlanc. But yeah, I'm going with the returnee, Matt Danson. I reckon he'll get it done.
Yeah, a very strong pick, Mr. Mark Johansson.
Have to go, Josh Micklemore.
Okie dokie, and I'm going to plant my flag with Mr. Matty Ray. So we'll see how well we can do this time and see who comes out of the blue to win this duel race. So we'll see if we can all get it wrong again for this one.
Yeah, it was certainly it's certainly an unexpected turn up last time, but let's see if this one's just as eventful.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this. Hopefully we get as strong a finish and strong a race as we did last time out. Pace car pulls in. We're about to go for 60 laps here around Daytona for this duel number 2 of the 2024 ANZCAR year. And we are away. Micklemore getting away nicely, as so does Matty Ray. Russell Bratka just dropping back a little bit there. And I can just see somebody just dropping out of the pack there, just moving themselves down. That's Matt Patton just dropping down to the back of the queue already.
Yeah, it's he's just decided he wants to run at the back, but I hope he doesn't lose the pack there. He's kind of just dropped off. He's getting a nice big hole punched in the air there by the 2x2 in front of him. But he probably slowed down a little bit more than he really wanted to there.
So easy to get caught off with that one and find yourself just dropping down a little bit too quickly, and he has dropped out of the draft, so that is going to be a lot of work now for this race for him to get back up there. It's Micklemore leading the low line, Matty Ray leading the high line, and he's got a little bit of support behind him with Russell Bratka, his teammate there, and the American contingent in tonight's race.
Yeah, definitely, and unfortunately it looks like Matt Patton has lost the draft with that little move there at the start, so did not manage to get himself up and running quickly enough. So yeah, it looks as though excuse me, that he's just fallen off the back of the pack there. He's going to struggle to make that up unless there's a caution now. But yeah, no such problems for Josh Micklemore there, with Paul Jackson right up behind him, giving him a good old push. And you can see the bottom lane now just breaking out a little bit from the top lane. Lots of cars migrating down to the bottom. We've got SRM doing what they did in the first one, teaming up together. And my pick, Matt Danson there, just moving to the outside in behind Jackson, making moves already.
Yeah, Jackson jumping up to that high line now, and that's promoted JCW up there into second on the low line, and he is going to be hoping to keep himself nice and close to the front in that Atari car and get a good start for tomorrow's race so he can work with his teammates.
Yeah, definitely. And just seeing on the broadcast, Matt, if we can get that top ticker working. I don't know if you noticed that is off. With the positions, etc., and that should be all up and running now, hopefully. So, all right, so we've got the bottom lane just sort of cruising out with all the momentum down the bottom at the moment. Group of 4 cars sitting up top. That group, Paul Jackson, Matt Danson, and the 2 SRM cars of Raymond and Bratka. And it looks as though Phil Otto just pulling out as well to try and make use of that outside lane. Hopefully get a little bit more energy up into there. But right now, JCW, Josh Micklemore, the 2 Joshes, they're out the front working together.
It's going to be interesting to see how the SRM boys do. We saw in that first duel that they had some really good pace. And, well, up front, Micklemore and Carroll-Walden just making a huge gap over Gary Wellman at the moment. And I imagine Wellman's going to get a huge draft and close up very quickly to that gap. but they are hooning along at the moment, getting some good pace there as Johnson just gets a little bit wobbly up on the high line. Looks like Danson's thinking about dropping down, maybe not, as they're all just trying to find positions now, and they're all trying to work out where they want to be for this race and seeing what they can do, just testing out the cars, seeing how they are in the early stages of this race as well, of course. Running open setups for this weekend's race, so people still just getting an idea of how the car feels in race trim.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised to see Gary Wellman making moves to the front. He has come along leaps and bounds in the last couple of years and had what I reckon is probably his best year yet. Last season, he was sort of one of my, I guess, unofficial drivers of the year, I suppose, last year with the amount of improvement that he's made, and he can really run with anyone on his day, and he's showing that right now, sitting there in P3 comfortably with that lead pack, and he has got the number 66 of Lefebvre right behind him.
Yeah, well, we saw last year, Mark, Gary Wellman absolutely mega on super speedways. He is very, very good at running this style of track.
Definitely come a long way, as Ed said. And whenever he's in a race, you can't, on a super speedway, you really can't count him out for a race win either.
Absolutely, and they are just getting a little bit settled now, and still the SRM boys running that high line just in 2-car formation, but up jumps Matt Danson and Paul Jackson now, getting themselves up there, and those 4 cars will start to link up to see if they can start working together. And it looks like Phil Otto might have just dropped off the back of the pack as well, unfortunately, and that's dropped him out of draft range. So it's going to be a long race for him unless the caution flag flies. Phil Otto and Matt Patton both just missing out on the pack now, and they are going to drop like stones.
Yeah, sorry to talk across you there, Mark. It's absolutely the worst feeling, as we mentioned there in Heat 1, in Duel 1, I suppose. It's just that moment where your RPMs just die, and you know you've lost that pack, and now you're relying on there being a caution or something to help you out.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, Ed, and Carl, it'll be interesting to see what they get out of a tanky. We've seen the last guys get around 39, 40 laps, so be interesting to see what these guys are doing, and it'll give us a good view on their race pace.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll probably see something similar. I shouldn't imagine that these guys are going to have much different fuel mileage to what we saw in the first one. Matt Danson making moves now. He's dropped down into that low line, just used it to gain a little bit of momentum, and then he's pulled out, side drafted Wellman, and Wellman side drafted him back and pulled him back. He's like, "You're not doing that to me, son. Not on your return to the series. Are you going to be pulling that kind of move on me?" So yeah, Danson really did generate a really solid run there, ducked in, generated the run, pulled back out, tried to pull Gary back, and Gary's just done it right back to him.
Going to be a lot of new faces for Matt Danson to get used to, and a lot of those new faces probably not raced against Matt Danson as well. It's good to see him back out on track. Interesting to see what he can achieve in this duel and in the race tomorrow as well. Low line breaking up a little bit now. You can see there's a bit of a gap forming between Gary Wellman and Lefebvre as well.
Yeah, there has been a little bit of a break, and I think that was just due to a little bit of the side drafting that was going on. It just sort of broke up that bottom lane a little bit, but you're going to see them all sort of pull back together. You can already see Lefebvre there pulling back onto the back end of the top 4, and I believe that's Georgeson down there in the bottom lane as well. He's pulling back up there, and we've just got Danson and Jackson on there on the outside just working together for the moment, but they're going to need some more help if they're going to go forward.
It's always tricky juggling it, and you can see that just that side draft in there with Georgeson and Danson, it's just slowing them down a little bit. They should be able to catch back up quite quickly here, but it's just breaking that pack up a little bit. They're all sort of wiggling for position, trying to work out what they want to do, and in these early stages it's just about getting comfortable and getting yourself to that first crucial pit stop.
Yeah, definitely, and just as we say that, the line on the outside, what little there was left of it, has decided to drop back in, although Jackson's making a bit of a look to the outside. Not sure how well that's going to go on his own, but yeah, I've been wrong before, but it's going to be difficult for him out there, being the only one on the outside. But by and large, everybody in that single file, and we're in a very similar sort of stage to what we saw in duel number 1, as Lefebvre has a look to the outside. He had a good amount of momentum there pulled out. He's got Danson there behind him. Georgeson tried to go with him, but there was no room. It was car high. Wasn't able to do anything about that. So, yeah, it looks like Lefebvre there on the outside. That momentum that he did have has just kind of died off a little bit. And, yeah, he's got no friends left. So he's going to drop to the back of the pack, and he's going to have to come up with another idea.
Just gives the wall a little scrape there as well, and that's not what you want to do in this early stage. Looks like he's just got a little bit of damage on the right front. Hopefully nothing major there, but we did hear from his teammate earlier on that the car was not quite feeling as good in the Valve Esports car, and I wonder if he's just struggling a little bit with that setup as well.
Yeah, potentially. They've been reporting a little bit of just a mysterious lack of speed. They can't quite get their heads around at the moment. So we'll see if Lefebvre fares any better. But, then again, they finished second, didn't they? The guy with the problems last time. So, perhaps we'll just have to see how that all shakes out. Hopefully they get on top of their issues.
Absolutely. When you've got problems and you still finish second, you can't complain too much.
Yeah, I think they're a bit worried about tomorrow, but they've got a night to work on it, so hopefully they're able to get it good. As Danson had a friend there on the outside for a moment. Him and Jackson have been doing a little bit of work together so far, but Jackson deciding the momentum wasn't there, the energy wasn't there, and he's just going to pull right back down.
Yeah, we're not seeing the sort of big teamwork at the back at the moment. They're all sort of, nobody's really wanting to get a second line formed up, but up the front, Josh Micklemore and Josh Carroll-Walden working very well together with Gary Wellman too, and they are coming along nicely. They've got Paul Jackson right behind them too, so they're sort of comfortable up the front, and they'll get comfortable working with each other as well as this race goes on.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to have to... Yeah, it's what the Duels is normally used for. One of the reasons I wouldn't have minded being in it. But, you just get an opportunity to feel everyone out a little bit and just sort of understand a bit more of what they've got. This is going to be their first time probably really running these race setups, certainly in an ANZCAR session. They may have run them elsewhere, but, it's definitely a fact-finding mission as well as deciding and determining where you're going to start on the grid. But, yeah, nothing really to lose for these guys, so I'm expecting the aggression to ramp up as the race goes on.
Just looking a little bit further back, 66 of Lefebvre has just dropped off the pack and is just lost out on that draft, and he's going to have that sinking feeling as well as that car hits the air and just slows down, and he's going to be hoping that something happens, a little caution to get him back into the pack, because at the moment he is well down on speed, running about 285 at the moment compared to the lead pack who are running about 308 kilometers per hour.
And that's not even good qualifying lap pace, like solo qualifying lap pace. So not really sure. Like he did I was a bit concerned for him for a moment there because he just started to get a little bit of a gap to the pack and then sort of dropped like a stone. So it could be that he's suffering from the same affliction that Jamie Nankervis reported in the last race. Of course, those two cars teammates and struggling with a bit of speed. And as we were talking about, they don't really know why. But they got time to figure it out before tomorrow. But unfortunately, without a caution or something like that, Lefebvre's out of this one.
Before Mark chips in, it's not the Toyota engine. We know that they're great.
Let's leave that to debate later. But I was going to say Scott is a rookie this year, so he it's really his first crack at ovals. He's come from a road racing background, so. Good to see him come over and be picked up by Valve Esports.
Yeah, it's always an interesting thing, an interesting experience for guys when they come over and they try this out for the first time. Of course, we saw it a couple of years ago with the guys from Locked On Lads came over and had a run, and still one of the as we look at the top line, actually making a good amount of progression forward at the moment. Danson just using that draft to move his way up, but. One of the memories I always sort of look back on and smile a bit is when Southpaw racer, Mr. Gardner, he very well known streamer, commentator of all things sim racing and iRacing. And he came over and ran a few races with us, and there was just this moment in the race, and in fairness to him, he was jumping straight in at Bristol, and he was sitting there on his stream, and he's like, I just can't think fast enough for this. Because he was running in the ANZCAR cars at Bristol, and you know what it's like at Bristol, those turns just come at you and come at you and come at you, and when you're not used to it, it can be just a little bit difficult to just kind of wire your brain. But yeah, of course, if he got on top of it eventually, he was quite good. By the time his time with us finished, he definitely was able to run competitively. But back to the night at hand, and looks like Lefebvre is taking that car into the pits, not able to persevere with it anymore. Phil Otto looks as though he's about to drop a lap because, as we mentioned, he fell out of the draft a little bit before. And yeah, we've got 2 lanes forming, and Danson's just leading that line. He's got the 2 SRM cars behind him who he knows are going to stick together. They're going to run the same strategy as Quejo and Phelps did in the first one, where they're just going to run together. They're going to stay glued to each other's bumper all night, so he knows he's got that help. And you just see him just kind of working down, trying to pick a bit of side draft every now and again, coming back out into the clean air, and they're just trying to work their way forward on that top line.
The 2 SRM cars are just going to hope to not have a repeat of earlier. They're going to stick nice and close to each other, just not too close. That's going to be the key for the battle. We don't want to see another little bit of contact between 2 teammates tonight. But I guess if you're going to have it happen, the Duels is the best place to do it.
Yeah, you don't want to see it happen again between teammates. You also don't want to see it happen again on the same team. You know, if you're getting in an incident with your teammate is one thing, but but all of your cars being wrecked through different incidents with teammates, that's not a good night. So just for their sake, I hope that nothing further happens to them.
As you said, Ed, if it does happen, you definitely wouldn't want to be a fly on the wall.
Oh, maybe you do. Maybe it'll be entertaining. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Matty Ray, we know he's got a temper on him.
The most chilled out guy in the world. Yeah. Yeah.
And we see they've just dropped down low, and it looks like Danson's going to drop back to the back of the pack as well with them, as Paul Jackson's looking to try and make a little bit of a run or swap himself back a little bit now too. And they're just shuffling around back there. Up the front, not much happening. It's still Josh Mickelmore leading. We know the Mitch Motorsport cars got some good pace in it, as well as the Natari cars as well, as they are sitting on the front row tomorrow with Mr. Edward Foster and, of course, Jason Martin on the outside. So those 2 cars up the front definitely got some pace in them and showing some good race pace as well now.
Yeah, definitely are. But Josh Mickelmore is making a bit of a habit of leading races at the moment, isn't he? He led pretty much the entire show, I think, in the modifieds on Monday night, and I believe had a pretty competitive run in the Truck Series race here, although he did get caught up in a late wreck, if memory serves.
Yes, he got caught out in that one, but did take the win in the modifieds. Of course, Martin taking the win in the truck. So Mitch Motorsport hoping to seal out the week by taking all of the silverware.
I'm personally hoping they don't, but it'd be an impressive thing if they did, and I wouldn't put it past them. They've done it before.
No, I don't think anyone's going to bet against them for doing it, but I'm sure you're going to try to make sure it does not happen. Phil Otto has dropped onto the back of the pack now. He's gone down a lap, but he's managed to secure himself right on the tail of these cars. We've lost Scott Lefebvre and Matt Patton in the race. They both have pulled out. I think Lefebvre as well. He took some damage on the right front, and I wonder if that was what was really slowing him down. Could have been the reason he was struggling with a little bit of pace left.
I didn't see him getting the damage. I didn't see him getting involved in any incidents. It was just maybe a pushing.
He clipped the wall.
Just on the wall. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit earlier on, he just gave the wall a bit of a rub, and it just damaged the right side. So I don't know if that was maybe what was really slowing him down a little bit more than he expected. So hopefully they got some good info, and they can come back stronger for tomorrow. Of course, it's not all over. Make sure to join us tomorrow afternoon for the ANZCAR Daytona 500, of course, brought to you by Neuro Power.
Yeah, it's great to have Neuro Power on board this year. They sort of popped up that we're sort of talking to them at the end of last year and sort of coming into this year. And of course, they are a great organisation helping out people with neurological illnesses, disorders, terminal illnesses, those kinds of things, and just working on a quality of life improvement there. So really good to have those guys on board. It's somewhat the type of thing that we like to partner with at ANZCAR, something that's actually out there making a real positive difference to people. So we really like to be involved with that kind of thing. And yeah, they've been a great partner so far. It's going to be a great 24 with them, I think.
Absolutely. We look forward to carrying on the rest of the season with them. So up the front, we can still see the two Joshes are really pushing along nicely. JCW there right under the back of Mickelmore, giving them a nice big push down the straights and then just easing off into the corners a little bit. Gary Wellman sitting there in third. They've been pretty comfortable all race. Luke Georgeson working his way up to fourth, up 6 positions at the moment. Biggest mover through the field is Gary Wellman, up 8 spots.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me a bit. Those two sort of coming forward. Both of them very. You mentioned Wellman on the super speedways. Luke Georgeson, he can drive them as well. Absolutely no issues there. And that Camry looks absolutely hooked up. So we've got Camaro out the front, then Mustang, Camry in that order in the top 4. And the rest of them just sitting in there behind, plotting, scheming, thinking, frantically doing sums and all little bits and pieces, figuring out how they're going to take Micklemore's place at the front of the pack.
All the scheming that's going on in those sim rigs at the moment, and you know it's going on. They're just sitting there planning their attack, trying to work out what they want to do for the end of this race, and thinking about the pit stop, trying to just get an idea of what they want to do, and just getting all those little bits and bobs sorted out, ready for the second half of this race. Because with it being a slightly smaller field, there's less chance of that caution flag coming out. Still a chance for it happening, but it does reduce the opportunities for a wreck to happen. And that means you've got to do all the hard work on the track while it's green.
Oh, just having a look there. I think Wellman had a bit of a think about getting underneath Carol Walden there, because both the Joshes sort of moved out a little bit, just moved away from that yellow line, and they did so at just the point the 45 was coming along with a head of steam, and he just looked at sticking his nose down there and then thought to himself, yeah, probably not. Don't need that at this stage.
I've got a little bit of interesting information for you boys. Josh Mickelmore is the 2019 Daytona 500 winner, and JCW the 2020 Daytona 500 winner are the only previous drivers that are going to be in the field that have won the Daytona 500 before.
Well, there you go.
They run 1 and 2, showing that they've still got the speed.
Yeah, absolutely do. So 2 guys who've won this race before, leading this duel at the moment. And yeah, there's only a couple of others who've done it. Andrew Dyson, who unfortunately is absent this weekend, he's got a couple under his belt, and I believe Daniel Stevens is the other one.
Daniel Stevens was the inaugural. Yep.
Inaugural one. Yep.
And 2021 was Mr. Skurlock.
Ah, of course. Yeah, forgot that Skurlock got one as well. So yeah, so only a couple of defending, well, not defending anymore, but prior winners. Guys who've tasted the champagne and got a little baby Borg on their shelf at home. So yeah, 2 guys out the front doing that, and everybody else looking to try and add their name to that list.
Yeah, it's always one of those races that everybody just wants to get the win on, because it is such a tough race to get through. It's not the easiest race out there, and it is a long, old, hard race to do, and so much can go wrong. When you get to the end, even just getting to the end sometimes can be an achievement. But getting there with the victory, it's got to be something special.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to lose this race, and you're very, very dependent on the actions of other people as well. Ask me how I know.
Yes, we know from prior broadcast set. So, as we chug along, we are just about to tick over to half race distance now. And the next 30 laps will be coming up. Who is going to take victory in this, the second duel? This is the race for the outside line for tomorrow's 500. Who will be starting on that second row on the outside? At the moment, it's looking good for Mickelmore. He's led every lap. I think he has led every lap. As currently, Joshua Carroll Walden sitting there in second, with Gary Wellman third, Luke Georgeson fourth, and Matty Ray sitting in fifth now. And the 2 SRM cars stuck together, Russell Bratka right behind him, Paul Jackson sitting 7th, Matt Danson in 8th, and Full Otto sitting 1 lap down in 9th position.
Yeah, the interesting thing as well, I mean, in the first duel that we saw quite a few lead changes, but it looks as though, and we mentioned before, Josh Mickelmore can definitely steer, there's no doubt about that. JCW, we talked about his pushing and how good he is at doing that in the first race as well. And I'm not surprised to see those two. Given the fact that they look as though they've decided to work together, at least in this early part of the race, I'm not surprised that they've been absolutely impenetrable at the front and nobody's been able to get themselves organised to a point that they can challenge. Because, yeah, those two looking absolutely rock solid in 1 and 2.
It can often be tricky to get the pass done on the super speedways if you don't have that support from behind, of course.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And when you've got two guys who are nailed together like these two are out the front, both with fast cars by the looks of it as well, makes it very, very difficult. And let's not forget that Willman and Georgeson have been right in there behind them for a majority. So those four linking up together, they're forming a bit of a unit there that's going to be very, very hard to break up. And I'm sure if somebody wants to try a really aggressive move, a really big push or something, they can do it, but they need to do it once. They need to do it right. They need to pick the right time. And when they do decide to make that move, they need to absolutely hammer it home. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
All about the crucial timing and, as I say, that little bit of extra support will come in handy. Currently fastest car on track is Paul Jackson. It doesn't really mean much on the super speedways because it's just all about getting that little bit of draft. Fastest lap belongs to Luke Georgeson at the moment with 45.6. One of the nice quick laps out there. He got a nice big run and shows he's got some speed in that car. So he's going to be sitting there trying to work out what he can do for this second half. But now it comes into the time where, as we're talking about in that first duel, it's all about those green flag stops. It's going to be those pit stops that are going to be weighing on people's mind. When do they come in? Do you run the tank as dry as possible? Try and make a very short stop in the box? Do you just come in when you see everybody else coming in? It's all about that pit stop and making that correct as well. You've got to hit your marks, hit the speed limit, make sure you get the car slowed down, make sure you get in your box as well. And that is an easy mistake to make in these cars, as they do like to lock their wheels up when you're coming in hot off the track.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things at play here. So first of all, Mickelmore has led every single lap, okay? So he's been the one parting the air for everyone behind. So his fuel consumption is going to be worse than everyone's behind him. So the possible issue for him is he ducks in when he's absolutely dry. He's going to hang out there until there is not a drop left in that tank. When he goes, not everybody else is going to have to go necessarily. They might be able to get another lap out of it. And if he has to pit on his own, that's going to be bad, bad news. So that's the one downside of leading the entire way in the way that he has, is you can leave yourself kind of in a club of one as far as your fuel strategy is concerned, and that does not work around here, as we've talked about. Now, for the guys who are further back in the pack, they're just going to go when everybody else goes, most likely, or at the very least you're going to see what happened in the last race, whereas the field sort of divides itself into a couple of groups as we see a high line starting to form again. But when you're at the back, you just kind of want to make sure that you're not pitting by yourself, and that's a lot easier to confirm and make sure and look after yourself with when you are at the back, because you have the option of watching what everybody else does first and then deciding what you're going to do. When you're at the front, like Mickelmore is, you're the pioneer, and if you decide to go and nobody else comes with you, you're in a world of trouble. So that's a bit of a risk. But generally speaking, the leader is going to delay that decision as long as he can. So expect Mickelmore to run that thing until it's on vapor.
Definitely find out in the next 5 laps, because we're on lap 35 at the moment, just about to complete that, and start lap 36. So be ready to see these guys jump down pit lane.
It looks as though they've all got their eyes on pit lane now. We did see a little pack starting to form at the top, trying to threaten the front. And then they've probably seen, this is probably going to take us a little bit too long to do. So I don't think we're going to see much in the way of moves until the pit stops have happened. Everyone will find out how it's going to shake out. And then from there, we're going to go. So it's going to get pretty aggro in the last laps, I think. But it's all about getting on and off pit road with some other cars.
Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, we do know that Matty Ray and Russell Bracker will come down the pit lane together. So it's just a matter of who wants to work with who, as you said, Ed.
Yeah, and I think that they're probably the only two cars on track you can absolutely say for sure are going to be in contact with each other. The rest of the guys are just kind of trying to look for signals, I guess. There might be a bit of voice chat over the radio, but of course, as soon as you broadcast that, everybody can hear it, right? So generally that kind of thing is saved for calling out pit stops and that kind of thing.
So as we roll in lap 37 now, we are very much getting close. How much further can Micklemore go in the 31? It can't be too many more laps left in the tank. And I'm just listening out on my feed, just waiting for any calls from the drivers. Not heard anything as of yet, but we'll keep an ear ready for that and see if we can spot anybody calling their pit stops, because it won't be long now until they come down the lane, and see everybody really holding that low line now and getting ready for that stop.
Yeah, the one thing that's a bit of an issue for Micklemore as well is just the fact that even if everybody pits with him, he's still going to have to take on more fuel than most of the others as well. So that could cycle him out of the lead. So yeah, it's good being in the lead, number one, because you can sort of plan everything, target everything. You're not going to have any wrecks happen in front of you, that kind of thing. But it does leave you a little bit weak on strategy in places. So he's not got too many options at this point, apart from do his best, get in on and off pit road as best as he can, and hope that everything works out. But I would not be surprised to see the lead change hand in the pit stop, just for the reason he's going to need to take on more fuel.
It's going to be crucial to get out with some other cars. That's going to be the most important thing. And just hearing over the radio, Phil Otto is needing to come down the lane, and we saw him having to run on his lonesome for a little bit, so he'll have used a little bit of fuel in that respect. So it can't be too much longer before Micklemore needs to pull it into the box. We'll see what happens this time round as they are exiting turn number 4. Will we see anybody else?
I thought he was coming. Micklemore,
Yeah.
He just sort of fainted towards the yellow line. I thought he was going to come down, but no, not yet. Okay, this time, just been called on the radio. Micklemore pitting this time. We'll see how many go with him.
Got to imagine pretty much everybody in the field will come in. I wonder if we'll see the two SRM boys stick it out for one lap. That's what we saw last race. They just extended a little bit, trying to get that jump. Will we see it this time round? Well, that is going to be the race. So it's going to be a race down pit lane. The green flag pit stops, always a nervous moment as a driver coming in for a green flag stop on a super speedway. Who's going to make it work? Who's going to go wrong? We're going to find out now as Micklemore comes in. Not too many following him in. We've only got Josh Micklemore.
He's got a couple. That's okay.
Yeah.
So long as they all get off pit road together, he'll be all right with that. He's got a few cars with him, so that'll be a huge sigh of relief for him. He's got Otto there, he's got Georgeson there, so it's only a couple, but that'll be enough. And these guys will be pitting quite soon anyway. It'll be a lap or two before you see everyone else in.
And we can see that on track at the moment. And we've got a second line forming, which we probably didn't expect to see this. Well, pit stops are starting to happen. Brave moment. Sitting up there on the high line, and that is Jackson and Danson up there. So we'll see how much further these boys can go. 41 laps now, and they drop back down and going an extra lap here as well.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at Micklemore coming out of the pits as well, and he is completely by himself. Georgeson is still in the pits. Otto is only just coming off pit road now, and that has not worked out for Josh Micklemore at all. He has done his job. He got on pit road well, he got off pit road well, but nobody else did a good enough job, so he is completely alone. Yeah,
I do wonder, we saw Georgeson come in a little bit hot and he ended up on the grass. I wonder if he's got himself a penalty, and it looks that way. He's ended up with a stop-go penalty in the lane, so that's going to be a painful one to serve in the green flag stops. Rest of the field looks like they're going to be coming in.
It's just Wellman and JCW, just those two.
Ooh. Nervous times as the rest of the field stick it out, and we said expecting the SRM boys to extend a little bit. They have, with Jackson and Danson.
Yeah, Wellman got a beautiful run on the pit road there as well. He actually overtook Josh on the way in. So we're just going to see how these guys fuel up and come out, where they manage to come out together. But it looks like we're going to have the rest of the guys pitting. They're going to come out close together at least. It looks like JCW and Wellman are at the very least going to come out close together. So that is, after only 2 of them went in together, that's as good as they could hope for. And now I think we're going to see the rest of the guys come in. I think Jackson's already called it. Yeah, everybody coming down. And Jackson, he must have spared. Yeah, he's messed that up absolutely well and truly. He's got to have a penalty out of that. I'll be stunned if he doesn't. Locked it up, went right out onto, put a couple of wheels on the grass. We've actually got him 3 wide down pit road at the moment, which is interesting. Jackson trying to get across into his bay. Holds up Bradker just a little bit, but that should be okay. And Matty Ray taking both SRM cars taking left side tyres. That's interesting.
And they come out nice and quick.
Yeah, they come out together, but probably not as close together as they would have liked.
This could be good news for Wellman and Carol Walden. They should be able to catch up to this little group here quite quickly, as they're going to be getting up to speed. Josh Micklemore, he is very much on his own, and it has not worked out for the man that led pretty much every lap of this race. It's going to be a long one to the end now, sitting down in 6th position.
Yeah, we're just looking at, I'm just looking at Wellman and JCW. They're just catching up to Danson, who didn't get out close enough to the guys that he pitted with, but he'll be okay now because he'll be able to tack onto the back of that draft. And it's going to kind of be like a drop of water rolling down a pane of glass in the rain. You know, it's going to start out and it's just going to be picking up all those other drops on the way down. That's what's going to happen here. These 2 guys are going to come through and they're going to pick up all these guys onto the pack, and they're going to generate speed that way. So there's going to be most of the guys who were in that front pack together are going to be able to sort of recongeal, as it is, and come out together. But that has not worked out at all for Micklemore.
Good news for Matty Ray, though. Russell Bradker up there with him. So the 2 SRM cars are linked up with each other. So some teammates working with each other at the front of the pack. So it's going to be Gary Wellman in the lead here with Joshua Carroll Walden, Matty Ray, Russell Bradker and Matt Danson. The 5 cars in contention for this duel with 15 laps remaining. They've linked themselves up pretty well at the moment. Josh Micklemore sitting out in 6th position, all on his lonesome. Paul Jackson down in 7th after taking that penalty. He's about to be lapped himself. So that really did not work out well for the 2-3-1.
Yeah. All right. So we're looking at this, and we've got Wellman and JCW, who I think are going to pair up. They've got to work together because they know they've got teammates. They've got 2 teammates, the SRM cars, Raymond and Bradker, in the line there together. And then there's Danson just sitting there at the back of that pack, sort of looks as though he's, I guarantee you he's got an idea. He's definitely got a plan in his head, no question about that. And Jackson, who he's been working with all night, now gone 1 lap down, trying to hang on to the back of that pack. Not sure he's going to be able to. But I think you're definitely going to see Wellman and JCW work together. The 2 SRM cars will work together, and I think that Danson is going to go Lone Ranger, and he's going to try something. He's going to try one of those things that only he knows how to do, probably.
Yeah, he's got an idea there as they just passed Luke Georgeson, another driver that got a penalty in pit lane. And look, penalties in green flag pit stops are never fun to serve, especially on a super speedway. Unfortunately for Jackson, he didn't manage to hook on to the back of that train, so he's going to be sitting down there battling it out with Luke Georgeson now. So those 2 are going to be fighting it out with each other on the track, but we'll keep our eyes on the leaders. And it is Gary Wellman in the lead at the moment, 45 up there with Joshua Carroll Walden behind him. And the 2 teammates, Matty Ray and Bradker, and then Danson sitting at the back trying to work out what he needs to do for the win in this duel as well. We're going to find out who gets that victory in just 12 short laps, ladies and gentlemen, and we will find out the outside row for tomorrow's 500.
Yeah, one of the things I find fascinating about watching this kind of thing is just wondering what's going on in the heads of each of the guys. Like JCW, for example, is he happy to just cruise home, work with Wellman, and start on the third row tomorrow, or does he want to start on row 2? You don't know, and each one of these guys is going to be thinking something completely different, and it's another intriguing layer to watching this style of racing to actually try and figure out what each driver's intentions are.
I want to say, Ed, with all these 5 cars, the drivers can be aggressive when they want to. So it's going to be an interesting last 5 laps, I'd say, to see who wants to move forward.
Yeah, certainly is. I'm very interested to see what Danson's going to do. I know he's going to do something. I know he will. It's difficult for him because he hasn't got a teammate out there. And the guy he's been working with most of the night, Jackson, as he does take a look to the outside, probably just seeing what he's got there maybe. Jackson has not managed to stay with him, and he's been working with Jackson most of the night. Every time Jackson pulled out, Danson was there, and vice versa. But unfortunately, Jackson no longer part of this lead train, so Danson working pretty much on his own. And yeah, he knows how to work the side draft and everything. I just wonder what he's going to be able to produce.
Yeah, just right at the moment, it looks like the 2 Mustangs out front have just got it over those 2 SRM Chevs. You can see just the gap just pull out on one lap and then it closes up again. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if Bradker and Matty Ray can get a run and maybe pull Danson along for the ride.
Yeah, it's all going to play out here over the next 10 laps as we cross the line. It is 10 to go this time by.
So if you were sitting in that position with 38's positioning where Matt Danson is, Ed, what would be your plan of attack here?
Right. I'm not very good at this stuff. No, look, I mean, it's difficult because if he builds a run, what I'd be looking for in Danson's position is the SRM cars to make a move, right? That's what he's got to do. Like, if he pulls out side drafts Bradker, which he can do, the only thing that's going to happen is he's going to pull Bradker off the back of that pack and they're both going to lose a draft. So that's not going to work. So he needs to wait for somebody to pull out and make a run. And he's just stuck his nose out a couple of times as if he's sort of encouraging the guys in front. Come on, guys. You know, we're getting to the end here. Pull out and do something. And I think that he's got to be sitting back there right now. If I was in his position, I'd be sitting there going, okay, let's wait for these SRM guys to make their move. When they do, I'll go with them, and I'll try and get that double draft. I'll try and get a really big run, better than theirs, better than everybody else's, and actually whip past a lot of them and take the win on the outside. But that'll have to be something that's done literally on the run to the line if he's going to snatch it that way, because if he does it before that, these cars that are teaming up with each other are going to have every opportunity just to go straight back by him. So it's tricky. It's tricky there when you're trying to make something happen as the last car in line and you're on your own. You've got to rely on other people.
Always one of my favourite things about super speedway racing is it just has some unpredictability to it, but also if you get it working just right, you can make it look absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, I like watching it. I'm not so much of a fan of being in the cockpit, but Daytona's Daytona, so here we are.
So Wellman up in the lead. He's sitting in... On a normal track, you'd go he's sitting in the best position, leading the race. On a super speedway, it's not always that case. JCW sitting behind, and there's just that little bit of a gap forming now between the 35 and the 83. And
I think they're trying to generate a run. I think they're trying to generate a run.
I was just about to say, it looks like they're just starting to think about an attack here on the leaders.
If I could be in anyone's car right now, it'd be Matty Ray's.
Absolutely. Third in line is usually a nice spot to be because you can get that really good, strong run.
Well, you've got the teammate behind you as well who you know is going to go with you. So you can generate your run at any point and you know you're going to have help. And in all likelihood, the 38's going to go with you too. So that's the car I'd want to be sat in at the minute.
Just when will we see the trigger pulled? There's still 6 laps to go, so you just got to do it at the right time. Don't want to do it too early, and just got to get it working right. So who is going to start doing it? As we see Danson looking to try and get a bit of a run on Bratka now, round the outside. He's seeing what he can do up there, just getting an idea of what the car's like, trying to get an idea, using a little bit of a side draft now as well.
See, this is what's happened though. He's run the side draft, and look what's happened to Bradker. All it's done is pull them both off the pack.
Got to be careful not to fall too far behind, because you get to that spot and you will lose the draft. They're still in a relatively safe-ish spot at the moment, but they're getting close to that point where that draft will disappear.
Yeah, and look what's happening there. You know, it's pulled Bradker off the back of Matty Ray, and now Matty Ray's having issues keeping up with the front two, who are actually working really, really well together. You can see a little bit of a gaps forming there, and without Bradker behind him, he's not going to be able to make that run, and that kind of puts JCW in the box seat to make a move. Because if there's only 2 cars, JCW can back off, get that run, side draft Wellman on the way to the line and snatch it for himself. Which, if it's only 2 cars together, that's easy to do. It's absolutely simple to do. But, yeah, with those other guys there, it complicates things.
Does, and now the SRM car's getting a bit of a run, so is Danson. He's trying to get that run.
Yeah, I think he's sitting there just saying, come on, boys, let's do something. It's going to take a few laps to get done, potentially. If you want to make a run, now's the time. Look at him poking his nose out again. Come on, guys. Let's do something.
It's good to see he's as patient as ever. With 3 and a bit laps left remaining, it is time to start making those preparations, start making those moves, because we are running out of laps, running out of kilometers, running out of miles very, very quickly here at Daytona. And what will we see as Danson's trying to get that good run? It's almost like he wants to try and slot himself between the 2 teammates at the moment.
Yeah, it's nothing if not ambitious. He's got a quick car too. Like, he held next to Bradker with no help for quite a while. So that thing's tuned up. Don't worry about that. He just needs someone to help him.
Just needs a couple of extra ponies behind him to push him along, and he will be flying up there. Who is going to make the move? They are coming in to 2.8 laps remaining. It is coming down quick now, and they've really got to start thinking about making that move. Wellman's going to be sitting there going, oh, I don't want to be in the lead. It's nice to be in the lead, but right now this is not the best place to be. JCW is sitting there thinking, what can we do? 2 SRM cars trying to work it out, and Danson still trying to get that slingshot past the 2 SRM cars.
Yeah, you can almost hear him begging, can't you? Like, it's like, guys, come on. But you can see that little bit of a gap between the SRM guys and the front two. Here comes the run. This has got to be it. Has to be. You're not just going to sit there and let them have it, boys. Come on. There just doesn't seem to be a whole lot of chemistry between the guys at the moment in terms of just understanding each other's kind of thoughts. There's that gap there. Matty Ray, put your foot down and make a run here. It is 2 laps to go. How patient are you going to be?
He is definitely sitting there waiting for that moment. You can see he's just not wanting to go too quickly, because he just doesn't want to lose the opportunity. But the opportunity is going to come away soon, because there's only going to be 1 lap remaining once they cross the line. The white flag will be out, so this is going to be the opportunity they need to take. JCW is thinking about making the move here.
I did not expect him to be the move maker of the 2, but he's got the job done, and the SRM boys have gone with him. That's pinned Gary Wellman down the bottom, Matt Danson giving him a shove. But now the only issue is that JCW has got 2 teammates there behind him, and he has got 2.5 miles of blocking coming up. He hasn't blocked quickly enough, and Matty Ray and the teammate have flicked right around the outside there. So JCW a little bit early. He's trying to side draft off Danson there to pick him up. Here comes Danson down the bottom.
Huge run from Danson. He has got some speed. He's trying to get through on the inside, and he's holding down there, but Matty Ray's keeping that line blocked up at the moment. Gary Wellman sitting back there thinking about what he can do. Why is Matty Ray not
sitting up there with Russell? Why is he not sitting up there with his teammate? He's sitting in between. That's not going to help him. He's got to sit in line with somebody. He's got to get up there and work with his teammate.
He's choosing to go up with JCW. JCW's getting the run, but it is Matty Ray that takes the victory with JCW and Russell Bradker. The 2 SRM cars working that out, keeping the lines locked down and taking their top 3 positions. Joshua Carawal then getting 2nd place for Natari. Gary Wellman comes home 4th, and Matt Danson comes home in 5th.
I cannot believe Matty could have made it so much easier for himself if he just pulled up in front of his teammate there, but he kind of occupied this no man's land where he really had nobody on it. I mean, it worked out in the end, and it worked out in the end, so you can't knock it too much, but he was just kind of sitting in this middle ground with no one really pushing him, and that's normally suicide, and very, very nearly lost the win to JCW, who we all counted out half a straight before. So, yeah, but anyway, he's got it done. It doesn't matter now. It's his.
He's going to be delighted with that one. SRM, they've had some bad luck in the first duel, but the second one came a lot better for the 83. Matty Ray taking victory here in duel number 2. And that is a good way to finish off a Saturday night.
Yeah, they were entertaining. They were both very entertaining races, I thought. Can't wait to see what the 500 provides tomorrow. Of course, I'm not going to have an overall view of it, but yeah, it was certainly very entertaining, these two duels. Loved it.
Yeah, if we hear your voice up here in the booth tomorrow, then something has gone
We know it's
very
all gone
wrong.
horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I'm probably due for a shocker. I've actually had a couple of decent finishes the last couple of years, so or decent runs, so I'm probably due for something terrible to happen.
Well, we will. I'll say I wish you best of luck, but that's probably going to curse you. Yeah,
no, mate. I already commentators cursed the SRM boys earlier on, so just if things are going well, just don't say anything about it. Okay?
We're just going to ignore you. Make sure to keep camouflage on the car. We just won't look at you.
I need to load up Riley's old camo scheme from a couple of years ago that he had for us. That was a ripper, anyway.
Always a wise move. Look, thank you so much, Ed, for joining us up here in the booth tonight, and we look forward to seeing you out on track tomorrow, starting from pole position, of course.
Yeah, that's going to be real fun. Just sort of first time I've had the opportunity to do it, and yeah, sort of keeps us clear of those first 10, 15 lap jitters that people tend to have. I know I'm certainly partial to them myself in a race of that size, so just having the opportunity to be sort of ahead of all of that, and in a bit of safety, that's going to be pretty cool. But I do not think for a second that I'm going to be leading all day, but hopefully on that end of lap 200, we're good.
Absolutely. Let's run through the results quickly. It's Matty Ray taking the win here in the second duel. Joshua Carroll-Walden coming home second. Third place for Russell Bracker. Gary Wellman comes home fourth. Matt Danson in fifth position. Josh Micklemore comes home sixth. Paul Jackson in seventh. Phil Otto eighth. Luke Georgeson in ninth. Scott Lethborough in 10th position. And Matt Patton in 11th spot. Okie dokie. Let us chat to our top 3 finishers. And first of all, we'll bring up the SRM man from America. It's Mr. Russell Bracker. Russell, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on third place here at Daytona in the Duels.
Thank you.
A solid race for the team there in this duel, at least. It went very well, and we saw you guys sort of trying to work out what you wanted to do towards the end of that run, and you sort of timed it to perfection.
That was definitely all Matty. That wasn't me. He keeps me calm back there because I was ready to go 6 or 7 times probably.
It's always good having a calm voice in the ear, and it worked out very well tonight.
I was ready to go too, mate. Don't worry.
You must be pretty happy with that, and of course, must give you some confidence for tomorrow. The car looked pretty solid.
Oh yeah, I think we got a good setup. Ruben and Matty and Lockie were messing with it all day today. I ran a 500 and trying to get it dialed in a little bit. I think we got fast rocket ships here.
Well, we look forward to seeing them coming out tomorrow. We'll make Matty Ray do all the hard work with the team sponsorships. But any personal shout-outs for tonight?
I want to thank you guys for allowing an American to join, and SRM and Matty and letting me join their team and having me around. I appreciate it. And Moondoggy, our sponsor that keeps us going.
Always great. Congratulations, Russell. Have a good sleep after this one, mate.
Yeah, it's bedtime.
Good night, mate. Have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow.
You too. See you tomorrow.
Russell Bracker there for SRM, our American contingent, having a good, solid run out there tonight. Next up for Natari, it's Mr. Joshua Carroll-Walden, JCW. Welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on second here in the duel.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, tried my best to get the win there, but yeah, just came up just a little bit short once again.
A tricky thing when you're coming into the final couple of laps, especially when you're up there at the front at a super speedway. We saw you get a good run, get yourself up to the front, but do you think maybe you went a little bit too soon?
I mean, the thing is yeah, I found that I found following Gary in that last stint that there were a few times where I just couldn't get to his rear bumper in a whole lap for a whole lap. So I knew that realistically, um, if I didn't take that run on the second last lap off turn 4, that I might not get that run on lap 60. So yeah, so I decided to go for it. And yeah, it nearly worked. I just sailed past. I was like, oh yeah, this is great. And yeah, then everyone, to my surprise, went high with the 2 SRM cars, and yeah, then it was just about refinding momentum. But yeah, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
Well, it got you a decent starting spot for tomorrow. You feeling confident for the race tomorrow for in the 35 Qatari?
Yeah, definitely. The car, was, really, really well behaved tonight. No issues whatsoever. So yeah, come tomorrow, I should be able to give it a good crack.
Absolutely, and as one of the returning victors from a previous 500, it's just yourself and Josh Micklemore tomorrow, the two that have taken victory in the 500. So we're hoping that you can maybe repeat it again tomorrow.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. But yeah, it's a long day tomorrow. But I think Natari's got confidence now that our car stacks up quite well compared to the rest of the field from the results of tonight. But yeah, we just need to execute. And yeah, I mean, one point of concern, I guess, is the pit stop phase where Gary Wellman, was much better through the pit lane than I was. Maybe a little bit. Might have just been, he was a little bit braver on the brakes than I was, but at the same time, he still emerged and in front of me. So, like, as long as we get the pit stops now tomorrow, we should definitely be in the mix.
Well, good luck for tomorrow, mate. Before I let you go, the usual thing, I love the shout out to sponsors, people in general. Go for it, mate.
Yeah, shout out to our sponsors, Growth Odyssey, Fully Flawed, Turbo Alpha Japan. Shout out to all my teammates. Ed Foster first is probably writing me off and giving me a whole bunch tonight. So double check that. Shout out as well to Daniel and Toby. Especially Toby with how much help he's given us in setting these cars up and getting us in a good position for tomorrow. Shout out for you guys in the commentary, Carl, Mark with the comms, Matt with the stream and the cameras, and yeah, shout out to all the admins as well, and shout out to Norm Clark and Manny Ray for winning the duels tonight.
Thanks so much, mate. Good luck tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll see you back in the booth then.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Carol Walden there. Joshua Carroll Walden there coming home second. And finally, our winner for this, the second duel tonight. It's the 83. It's Mr. Matty Ray. Matty, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on victory here in the duel.
Hey, g'day, boys. How's it going?
Very, very well, but I imagine you're feeling a little bit better than us.
A little bit relieved, yeah. Yeah, we've been working on this set for a little bit and feeling like we're just not really getting anywhere with it. So that's sort of, yeah, wave of relief a little bit there, but that's only, calm before the storm tomorrow, really, isn't it?
It is, but it looked like the SRM cars had some good pace tonight. We saw in both duels up the front of the field, definitely looking pretty planted up there and looking in contention for the victories. And well, you did it tonight, taking the victory here. That's always a nice feeling.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah. We got some pretty shiny bullets here this week. So, and yeah, Russell the Love Muscle gave us a good push tonight. So, yeah, we had a good night. We'll see how we go tomorrow, though. There is some pretty fast blokes out there. One of the blokes in this booth's pretty pokey, I reckon. So
Oh,
we'll see how
thanks,
we
Matty
go.
Ray. I appreciate you saying that about me.
Oh, look, I don't want to give you a big head or nothing, Carl, mate.
No, always good, mate. Look, congratulations tonight. Obviously the car was feeling good. Just in that last little run to the flag, we saw Matt Dadson was pretty keen on getting past and trying to get that second line form, but you seemed pretty solid on holding position and making your attack when you did. How much self-control did that take?
Oh, I've had a little bit of practice now with patience around these places, as you know. So, like sitting in third, I was pretty confident we're in probably the best position to control what happens, especially with a teammate. So, I could see Danson wanted to go early, like he kept poking out, and the way these cars are working, and like I said, the cars are pretty quick enough, I think. So I said, look, we just wait until the end here, Russ, and then try and make a move. But yeah, it did sort of get a little shaky there. We couldn't get Russ back to the bottom before Danson started nose under him. I think it was Danson, and so I got a little bit shaky out there and there. But nah, with all the air and the way it worked, it just let me go, sort of thing, and had to hold off big JCW at the end there. It was all right.
Worked out to perfection. Congratulations tonight, first and third for SRM. A nice finish indeed. Set you up good for tomorrow's race. Wish you luck for that. Hopefully have you back in the booth at the end of that one. But before I let you go, the love, the shout out, sponsors and people, go for it, mate. You deserve it.
Yeah, mate. We got Ray down at Moondog. He does signs, graphics, t-shirts, all sorts of business like that. He's a really good fella. We got a couple of guys at Aussie Cano, which just do sort of merchandise, t-shirts, and all that sort of business as well. And then a couple of charities we got on board that we were supporting last year. The Alopecia Foundation and Tourette Syndrome Australia. So that's about all, I believe, this year.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Mr. Matty Ray. Congratulations on the victory in the duel. Hopefully we'll see you back here after tomorrow's 500.
Thanks, mate. And you boys are too. Sorry. Thanks.
Oh, don't worry about us. We're not important.
Cheers,
Cheers, mate. Have a good one. Matty Ray there taking the victory in the duel. Another great finish for the duels, and hopefully that's going to carry us over to the 500 tomorrow, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. From the races to duels tonight, it looks like it could be exciting towards the end of the race if everyone can survive the mid race carnage.
Yeah, it's a lot to take on for tomorrow, of course. A big old race, and we hope you can all join us there for that, of course. We're looking forward to seeing you at midday tomorrow for the 500 here on Performance E streaming. So make sure you're all ready for that, of course. We are looking forward to that race. Well, from myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you, of course, Mr. Mark Johansson, Edward Foster, and of course, Mr. Matt Hunter doing the hard work on the cameras. It's nice to have him back up here in the booth. We're going to wish you a good night, and we will see you all tomorrow for the big one, the ANZCAR Daytona 500. We look forward to seeing you there.